Now, Lars, welcome to Dealroom Exchange. Thanks so much for taking the time. So can you do like a very quick introduction and talk about yourself, your background, and NXP and what it does?
Yeah, so I'm a 55-year-old physicist, German father of 3 teenagers. Next to my physics, I did an MBA at London Business School. So, and with that combination, I worked myself into the CTO role of one of the biggest European semiconductor players. So NXP, the former Philips Semiconductors that acquired 10 years ago the former Motorola Semiconductors. And with that combination, we are one of the electronics players for all sorts of intelligent systems, robotics, a big chunk in automotive as well.
Because that happened like after also like all these players first spun off the semiconductor parts, the semiconductor departments, and then there was like you who did the partial consolidation, I suppose.
So around 2000, 2005, there was the understanding that these semiconductor branches of the big corporations are not earning enough money and they are too volatile. And therefore everyone, Siemens kicked out its branch, called it Infineon, Motorola called it Freescale, Philips called it NXP, and I could go on. So that was the belief of these days. And that changed when suddenly someone at the West Coast stuffed a mobile phone into a laptop or the other way around, and you suddenly had a data display device, and you went into this on-demand world. You needed big storage, big compute, the cloud, and you needed to have these remote control devices, and you could get your Uber, your pizza, your climate control from wherever you were. And now what we are seeing is we are entering the third step, this world that my Marcom people would say, the world that anticipates and automates. So where little devices around you take over these tasks for you. So climatize your house before you are there. Adjust your insulin levels in your insulin pump when your glucose patch says Andre's levels are not okay. So all of these type of topics are going now to an autonomy stage. And that is where our electronics fits in.
Interesting. So I was looking at a report that we are putting out together with Drumbit Capital, and I just wanted to show you a couple of slides just to get your sort of what do you think about it. So it compares the US and Europe, and this is the sector that is called future of compute. And you can see, although the European numbers are growing steadily, it is a significantly less in terms of the actual amounts than in the US. So like I say, almost 3x less this last year. So is that a problem? What do you take? So, what's your take here?
I think it makes sense to delayer that a little bit. What is at the moment creating an enormous tailwind for the semiconductor market is big data centers where the ChatGPTs of this world are living. But these big data centers and they are super energy hungry, super compute hungry, and they are also good for the European semiconductor players because we are often supplying not the big data shufflers, the GPUs and NPUs for the AI, but we are building this control plane, the power plane, so the infrastructure. And 80% of such a data center is infrastructure cost. So we are participating in all of that. Nevertheless, the big digital companies from the mobile phone world, from the PC world, graphics cards world, they are sitting outside of Europe and they are benefiting from that at the moment ad hoc trend for data centers. Now, in 10, 15 years from now, I guess most of this intelligence of these 50 billion smart connected devices that we are all dreaming of that are coming into the market, most of that intelligence is in these edge devices, and we will use the cloud, but we are not pumping for every fridge that needs to buy 2 liters of milk. We are not pumping all data into the cloud and get that answer back. So not energy-wise, that is not sustainable, not cost-wise. And out of the 50 billion smart connected devices, largely 45 billion are purpose-built. So your insulin pump, my fridge. And they don't need ChatGPT in the cloud. So therefore, what you are doing there is you're really big time getting now tailwind behind that trend. That is at least what we believe, and this is why we are on that road. Now, 10 years ago, we all had Chromebooks, and we had the cloud, and we were operating Microsoft Word in the cloud. You on your intelligent keyboard, I on mine. Today, no one would come to that idea. You have your laptop, I have my Surface or whatsoever, and we have Word running on our systems here. We still need the cloud, because you and me want to work on the same document, and we are synchronizing. I bet a similar trend is happening to the AI world. a lot of the compute of the real reactions at the edge in real time, physical, safe and secure, privacy is protected, so you're not pumping data around, energy efficient. But for synchronization, what is your house doing? What is a house in the Netherlands seeing? And 5 hours later, I get the same weather in Hamburg. So these type of things, of course, we are networked, but not in a religiously fundamentalist way. And this is why I think a lot of the players on the European side are going to get tailwind if this trend is materializing.
So in your view, Europe is a bigger player in the more like low power sort of scene.
Europe has certain key assets: safety, security architectures. The majority of today's microcontrollers is coming from Europe. So ST, Infineon, NXP, various players who are supplying that market already now on a world market scale.
Sure.
So from that angle, that is not bad at all. The only point is, you hear it already, how many words I need to explain that complicated structure. For an investor, it is so super simple to say, the smaller the transistor, the more trillions you get in valuation for your company, and all the rest in the middle, I don't understand and I forget. Compared to a 20-minute pitch that I'm doing here at the moment. And that is, of course, the stuff where we have to work on.
Right. But then there's also another slide, and that is robotics investments, just to come sort of a little bit deeper into this. So robotics, the situation is even more dire, like we have a 10x difference with the US. Does that chalk up to the same thing that you just explained? Like,
yes,
and is it a problem?
So, it depends on what you mean when you talk about robotics. If you talk about humanoids, that picture is very true. There is, in China, in the US, many investors in humanoids. If you talk about robots of what I'm having here in my hand, a little drone control unit, or a smart fridge, or your smart home control, or your insulin pump, for me, this is devices that take responsibility from Andri and are acting on Andri's behalf. If you have that as a robot, as an autonomous device, then Europe is pretty far ahead.
Okay. So your
not behind.
So your definition of robotics is pretty wide in this case.
So systems that are taking autonomy, and humanoids are one niche out of it.
Right. But then if we talk about humanoids in particular, I have heard very different opinions on that. Some people are very bullish on the idea that we will have loads of humanoid robots roaming around like 10, 15 years from now. And some people are saying that it's basically more of like a dead end and this is not gonna work because of all the complexities that have to do with it.
Humanoids will start existing, but they are definitely not the answer to all and everything. I mean, humanoids have advantages in environments where my human form factor is needed, climbing stairs maybe or whatsoever. But I don't need a humanoid robot to push my traditional lawnmower. I take a lawn mowing robot. So I will change the form factor for this purpose-built device. I have a little baby bed with a camera on a neonatology. I don't need to have a humanoid nurse running around there. I can do this very often purpose-built with much better form factors. And also in car manufacturing, it is funny at the moment to have humanoids taking big sheets of metal and windscreens. But do you need a humanoid form factor? And is this the best? I doubt it. So humanoids will be a specific niche in this entire world.
And which part of it do you think is like most important? Like for you as a company, like which purpose do you take as the main sort of target for you?
So what we are doing is we are serving all of these robotics and autonomous devices markets. And what we try to do is we try to have scalable platforms. You're coming always with the same thing. You need to have a safe and secure, right size of the brain, energy efficient solution. Whether this is super tiny or super big, we are trying to work on these platforms, including the software tool chains, so that you come with your idea and I have the right answer, take this chip with that capabilities and that complexity for your specific task.
Right.
That is this we came to do.
Right. So to wrap it up, just like one like very quick question. I was looking up NXP on the Dealroom platform yesterday, and I was looking. So even if we put the acquisition of Freescale, the merger aside, you have a lot of investments in startups. So what sort of strategy do you have there?
Well, of course, we try to bring startups close to us because exactly this question, which technology should I use, how should I scale, how should I work with it? I mean, that is, of course, an answer that I can give to a startup and make them future-proof in their abilities to win, to scale on already industry-ready silicon. That is the claim to fame.
And what kind of startups do you look for? Like, what do you try to invest in?
All sorts. So either it is suppliers, future suppliers, technology suppliers to us, or it is portfolio enhancement. So it's startups that we want to acquire,
right?
Or it will be the future unicorns, and if they take my silicon, my sales job is done. So in principle, it's these three categories.
I see. Perfect. Lars, thank you so much once again for taking the
My
time.
pleasure.
Good luck.
Thank you.